Welcome back, everyone. 14 and a half after the hour. And today in Behind the Headlines, we're taking a look at a new article from Paul Armentano that was published on Alternet. The 5 amazing new discoveries about the potential of marijuana that you won't hear in the corporate media. Paul Armentano, of course, is the deputy director of NORML and one of the best educated people on marijuana studies, science, and policy in the United States. And these are 5 studies that have just recently come out and in some cases, they just reiterate some of the stuff we've already known about cannabis. Here's the first one, and we've reported on this, that men who smoke pot possess a reduced risk of bladder cancer. This was just released in the Journal of Urology. LA Medical Center Department of Neurology assessed the association of cannabis use and tobacco smoking on the risk of bladder cancer. This was in 80,000 men aged 45 to 69 over an 11-year period. They found that men who smoked cigarettes had a 1.5 times greater chance of bladder cancer. Men who smoked only pot had a 45% reduced risk of bladder cancer. This is not the only study we've seen that's shown reduced risks of cancer. In 2009, there's a study at Brown University that reported long-term use of marijuana was associated with reduced risk of head and neck cancers. This was with over 1,000 subjects. The largest case-controlled study ever that investigated respiratory effects of marijuana, this from 2006, found no positive association between marijuana smoking and lung cancer. Dr. Donald Tashkin, the professor at David Geffen School of Medicine, told the Washington Post, "We hypothesized that there would be a positive association between marijuana use and lung cancer and that the association would be more positive with heavier use. What we found instead was no association at all and even a suggestion of some protective effect." Another study that's recently come out, long-term pot exposure is not damaging to lung health. This came out in December's Annals of the American Thoracic Society. This was an investigation at Emory University in Atlanta, found adults aged 18 to 59 did not have any significant decrease in their forced expiratory volume due to their cannabis use. That is how quickly and forcefully they can exhale air. Their lung strength seems to be just fine. A 2013 literature review in the same journal concluded, quote, "Habitual use of marijuana alone does not appear to lead to significant abnormalities in lung function," end quote. Third study to come out, alcohol, not pot, alters the brain. Scientists at the University of Colorado and University of Kentucky tried to replicate earlier findings that found brain changes associated with casual use of marijuana in young adults. They could not find these results with a larger, well-controlled cohort of subjects. They used MRI scans and investigated group differences in gray matter and found no statistically significant differences are found between daily users and non-users. When you carefully control for alcohol, gender, age, and other variables, there is no difference. Fourth study to come out recently, marijuana use does not lead to depression. According to longitudinal data that was published in the Journal of Affective Disorders, investigators concluded, quote, "Our results do not support a longitudinal association between cannabis use and an increased incidence of major depressive disorder. Rather, they indicate an inverse relationship between the two, which may be attributed to self-medication factors," end quote. Previous studies have underscored that as well. A 2013 study in the American Journal of Public Health reported a drop in suicide rates among states that had legalized marijuana compared to those that had not, specifically among men aged 20 to 39 years old. And finally, writing in Nature.com, an international team of German and Canadian researchers published a comparative risk assessment of the toxicity of tobacco, alcohol, and cannabis. And according to these researchers, they concluded that the risks of cannabis have been overestimated and the dangers of booze have been underestimated. They concluded, quote, "Our results point to risk management prioritization toward alcohol and tobacco rather than illicit drugs and suggest a strict legal regulatory approach for cannabis rather than the current prohibition approach," end quote. And again, Paul Armentano is the deputy director of NORML. We'll post this link to this article online in our chat room at 420radio.org. You can find it at alternet.org in their drugs section. Great article to forward to those doubters in your life that do not believe that marijuana legalization, or that believe, excuse me, that marijuana legalization is going to lead to all sorts of problems in society. We are finding more and more the protective effects of the use of cannabis. These studies don't even go into these recent studies on Alzheimer's disease and concussion and the ability of cannabis to be a protective and neurogenerative substance for creating new brain cells when people are suffering from a stroke, an ischemic stroke, a concussion from Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, and any sort of traumatic brain injury. These are some amazing results that aren't included in Paul's latest article, but also are some recent studies that have come out. Once again, showing that cannabis is an amazing medicine, not just to help people that are sick and disabled, but to help prevent people from becoming sick and disabled in the first place.